Hello, my name is Brenna, and I would like to talk to you today about an NGO that I find to be a very crucial help in eliminating violence and conflict in the world. NGO is a non governmental organization that works without the government, obviously, to try to help those in need. And there's all different kinds for all different reasons. And the reason they work without the government is because then they would have no specific biases towards certain parties or different government groups or have any influence from them. And so, one NGO in particular that is fighting the never ending cases of international violence is called the it's called Peace Brigades International, or PBI as I'll refer to it. And they are a nonprofit organization that works to provide aid to those suffering from human rights atrocities all across the world and to any capacity. So they work for those who are feeling oppressed and need help escaping dangerous conditions in all different ways, like religious, cultural, political, racial, or sexual repression of any kind. So the PBI was formed in 1981, so it's a fairly new organization, and they have already worked directly with 18 countries on a deeper level, and they have all had great success and has made a positive change towards restoring human rights for those in need. And so they are trying to reduce and prevent potentially violent situations from happening or from continuing to happen or escalating. And what I like about their approach, which I find very different, is that they try to integrate themselves into the community as to not disturb the people and the processes that have already long been set in place by the people. So they try to work alongside them and try to further strengthen the forces that have already been set in place on the ground in protecting their people. So, which I think is a great idea because it seems that not too many NGOs are trying to do this process, and I think that there should be more to employ this practice because it seems like it would be more helpful for the people in need instead of stopping any past institution that may have laid a lot of groundwork in helping people, but so instead of completely stopping it and shoving them out and trying to shove in a different one, they're trying to work alongside with the processes already in place and try to adjust based on what they think will be exactly right for them. And so, one case study specifically of the PBI's work is in Guatemala, and they have been working with a group called the CCDA, which is a long Spanish name I'm not going to try to pronounce. But what they do is they try to help indigenous groups save their land for the people to live and to continue to farm on, which they have been using for many generations. And what the government is trying to do is expel them from the land, and some of the eviction processes have become violent because there are confused and poor farmers that have been using their land forever, and they're being pushed off their native land for no untold reason to them. They're just being forced off with no warning. And unfortunately, it's a story we hear time and time and again in history, and it's sad to hear that it's still happening today. But the PBI is trying to end the fight between the indigenous group and the government, and the CCDA has been working for almost 40 years now against the government trying to save this indigenous land, and they've requested the help of the PBI to assist them in the negotiations of keeping their land. And because peaceful protesters or protests have been ugly in the past, they wanted to make sure that there was not going to be potential for this to happen again. And the PBI has successfully been able to just kind of act as a bubble around these people and help in negotiations and keeping the land. So it's a big win for indigenous people. And so, just to kind of go over my thoughts again, Peace Brigades International sounds like a really admirable NGO that has been working so hard and selflessly for others to try to restore the rights that many of us in developed world may take for granted. And I think that if I was to join them, I would take great pride in any mission that I would be able to join them on and try to help as many people as I could. So I do think they're really interesting, and I definitely would like to learn more and see what else they have. And what other kinds of work they have done. They've done a lot of work in South America and some in like Nepal and Indonesia and Mexico. That was some of the other ones I read on, but they all seem very interesting. But I'll definitely keep the Peace Brigades International in my back pocket because I think it would be a really good company for me to work for one day. Thank you.